Welcome, welcome, friends. We are gonna jump on. Just make sure camera and everything's adjusted. Cool. Alright, so we're gonna be good, everybody. Getting it going, just putting on our live. Alright, so hope everyone is doing well, everybody. We tried to do this last week, so we're gonna try and get it going today. So let's just quickly check a couple things. Cool. Nice. Awesome, awesome, folks. Just checking a couple things. Again, we'll get really good going at 5:30. I'm just checking a couple of goodies for us, and we'll get going. Yeah, nothing too crazy, folks. Should be a nice Friday night stream. So, hope everyone had a good week. But yeah, it should be a good time, folks. So, just checking it going. Perfect, perfect. We are live, which is awesome, everybody. Cool. Alright, I think we're going to get going, folks. And again, as people kind of pop in and jump in, that's all good. And this should be a little bit of a longer stream. So, folks, what we are going to be doing today is we're going to be doing a Dynacap build. We tried to do it last Friday, and we realized we had the wrong spacebar because we're doing a true HHKB. So, so today we're actually going to be doing take 2 on this build and actually trying to get it done. So this is going to be my first time with Dynacap, which is going to be really good. So I am really, really excited for this. So kind of show you the part we were waiting on. So I did kind of overnight shipping, but I ordered it Friday, so it didn't come till didn't ship till Monday because the Dynacap wasn't there. But we just needed a 6U stabilizer wire. So one thing to note, if you are ordering one of the Dynapacks for like the 60 or 65, which is recommended for HHKBs, you're going to want to make sure that you add on a 6U spacebar, 6U stabilizer wire if you are going true HHKB. Because true HHKB uses a 6U spacebar and 6U stabilizer wire versus standard HHKB, which uses a 7U spacebar. So I didn't know that when I ordered this, and I ordered 2 extras because I have 2 personal HHKB projects that we're going to do with Dynacap that I also didn't get the correct spacebar stuff for. So we'll be doing my personal builds probably next week, which will be good. So let's get the board out and kind of reintroduce what the heck this board is. So we are doing a Sho60 V3, which is really cool. So let me get the part, actually get the case out itself. We did install some parts last week. So there's the actual case itself. And we're gonna get out the rest of the components that we're gonna need. So we'll kind of go through everything that's there. So there's our case, we'll get that going. And yeah, do this build. This is a cool client build. So we have a bunch of our hardware, which is good. So we'll put that hardware off to the side. We have our SIP PCB, which is really good. SIP PCBs are kind of the gold standard and kind of my go-to when it comes to like custom aftermarket Topra and stuff like that. So this is going to be a really quality PCB. Like these are the best EC PCBs that you can get on the market. So these are going to be fantastic for our build. And then we also have our plate, which is really cool. So we have our plate here. So one thing about these show boards, they are Dynacap is built for 1.5 millimeter plates. So we're gonna have to put in a special gasket on the back side of the plate. And that's gonna kind of fill in that 0.3 millimeter gap to give us the 1.5 millimeter thickness that we need for Dynacap. So let me get that actual gasket housing portion itself out, and we're gonna apply that to the actual plate, folks. So that's what we're going to be applying first, because most of our work on this today is going to be with the actual plate and PCB assembly. So let me get my tweezers out, because we're going to have to pull out the cutouts for all the switches here. So one thing about Topra, it does take time and a lot of patience, kind of like Alps. Like when you get into Topra, like EC, it's definitely going to test your patience. So we're going to just pull out all these little cutouts here. So it's nice to have like a nice easy cutout for the HHKB, because that's what most people getting the Sho60 are going to be doing, proper HHKB with like a split backspace and split right shift. So yeah, so we're just pulling all these out. So we're going to use this gasket here. And again, this is a 0.3 millimeter thickness, and that's just going to make give us that 1.5 millimeter thickness on the plate for this particular build. Okay, we'll come back to that one. That one's being stubborn. So we're just pulling all these out, and then we'll apply this to the plate. And that's just going to give us the proper spacing we need for our particular build. So, and again, same with the, because I have a couple of Han. What's up, Yeager? I'm probably butchering your username. My apologies, but we are doing a Topra build today. So we're doing Dynacap R2, which is really cool. So a little fun fact about the Dynacap project. The Dynacap project was made by Clever and the team over at Omnitype, which is really cool. And kind of the purpose of Dynacap really was to kind of bring like Topra and EC to the masses, folks. So that's like the really cool thing with Dynacap. And the purpose of Dynacap was to have pretty much universal compatibility. Is going to have universal compatibility with pretty much all Cherry MX keycaps, specifically GMK keycaps, because historically you could modify like the sliders on Topra builds to accommodate Cherry MX keycaps, but one of the problematic types of keycaps historically has been GMK, which is probably one of the most popular type keycap manufacturers for Cherry MX keycaps. Because the way GMK does their molding for their injection molding on their keycaps, there was portions on the underside of the keycap that would interfere with the actual Topra housing, which would damage the keycaps over time. So you could put GMK on, but it would damage your keycaps over time, especially with those your experience with GMK. Like there are some GMK sets that are like genuinely expensive. So you don't want to damage those keycaps. So like that was one of the main purposes, is to have zero interference with GMK, and also pretty much every other Cherry MX keycap that's manufactured on the market today. And they did it pretty well. They released R1 after 2 years of R&D and development back in November of last year. And R1 pretty much sold out instantly. It sold out, I think, probably within like an hour. And people were and they had like some small miscellaneous parts and whatnot, but there wasn't enough to do like a complete build. So people were kind of waiting, and they were kind of tweaking some things that they didn't catch for R1. And there were just some kind of minor issues and things that they needed to tweak with the injection molding process. And they launched R2, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks ago. And there's still a bunch of Dynacap parts still in stock, which is really cool. So yeah, Dynacap has been a really big success. And I really appreciate what Clever and his team over at Omnitype have done for kind of making this like really, really accessible for many, many people. So that's like a really good thing that Dynacap has done. And this is a really cool project. And again, this is really my first time doing it. I kind of wanted to sit and wait for Dynacap R1, so I didn't purchase Dynacap R1, even though I had projects that needed Dynacap. Because I knew just when you do an initial launch of any type of product, like you're going to have just pickups and things like that. And Clever and his team were really adamant on taking their time developing Dynacap and making sure that everything was perfect, from packaging to the injection molding tooling that they needed to produce the actual product and everything else. They really took their time, and I really appreciate that, because I kind of akin to it like what happens in the video game industry. Like, unfortunately, we see in like the current gaming industry is like these developers are put under these unrealistic deadlines, and they released a half-baked product that isn't ready for like wide market distribution. And that's how we get like games that are buggy, broken messes on launch day. So I like that Dynacap took their time to develop this product, and for the most part, the issues that were present on R1 were very, very minor and very fixable. So yeah, so we have all the cutouts right there taken off. So this is the reason we're putting this gasket on this particular plate. Dynacap is designed for a 1.5 millimeter plate. The Sho plates are 1.2 millimeters. So if we don't put this gasket, basically the housings are going to be rattling on the plate. So this is just going to make sure we have that proper plate thickness. Like my personal Topra builds that we're going to do next week also have 1.2 millimeter plates. I have the Han cases for my HHKBs, and they also use 1.2 millimeter plates. So we'll also be using gaskets to give us that 0.3 millimeter thickness for the Dynacap housing. So Dynacap is very particular on what type of plate. So if you are doing custom Topra with the case, double check what the thickness of the plate is for the particular housing you're going to put Dynacap in. If you have 1.5 millimeter, then you don't have to. You can kind of skip this step. You don't have to use the gaskets. But for the purposes of this build that we are doing, we are putting on the gasket. So I just want to make sure I have it in the right orientation. So yeah, so we're just going to put these gaskets on there. And they don't really stick there or anything like that. We're just literally... Okay, let's take this off, this outer portion off carefully. So, yeah, so there we go. So, yeah, these are all just the extra portions we got to do. And then here, got to be really careful not to damage the gasket, because it is 0.3 millimeters thick. So, going very slow on the gasket just so we don't damage it. So, and then we're just going to gently place it on our plate. So that's kind of our purpose right here. So we're gently placing that gasket, and that's just going to make sure that we have proper thickness for our housings. So it's not sticking, but we're going to put probably just 4 housings in just to kind of hold everything in place. So there's our gasket right there. So now we're going to get some of our Dynacap housings out. So let me just kind of move. Let me get all this trash out of here, out of the way, just so I have a clean work area of all these cutouts we had to get out. So let me just toss these really quick, and then we'll get everything kind of assembled, and then we'll get our housings installed. There we go, friends. So yeah, so that's what we're gonna start building. So yeah, this client thankfully has been really awesome and really patient. So they kind of fully understood that I made the same ordering mistake. So they came in really clutch, just being understanding. So I need my 1U housings. So let's get those out. Okay, so yeah, we'll go over some of the Dynacap parts. Okay, these are all of our housings. Okay, cool. Let's put those Dynacap parts to the top. Okay, cool. So we have our 1U housings. So the colorway that the client got, they went for the white and red colorway for these, which was really nice. So, yeah, that's going to be really, really good. So, yeah, really good. So, yeah, here's our little Dynacap housing. So, these are really, really nice. Yeah, hey, thanks, Happy Tissues. It's all good. So, yeah, so these are really good. So, like, I'm really excited for Dynacap and be able to utilize this system. So this is a really cool system, and I'm really excited to get to work with this and use it. So yeah, so perfect. So let's just make sure we have our housings going in correctly. I want to make sure I have the housings oriented correctly. All right, give me a second. I want to go on the I want to make sure I'm putting them. I'm just clicking them in the right way. So I want to go to Dynacap really quick. So I just want to make sure I'm orienting these housings correctly. So let me just look at Dynacap really quick. All right. Yeah. I just want to see. Okay, there we go. So. Alright, we're going to have them go sideways like this. Okay, cool. Cool. So we're just going to orient this. So I want to just get this one done. I just want to get a couple in, and that'll hold the gasket in. So, alright. There we go. We got one in, so that's good. let's get this other one up here around our backspace area. I just want to make sure everything is properly lined up. And we're just holding that. Got to be really careful just so we can get that gasket in place. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Let's do one right here. So that's just, we're going to kind of slowly work our way around just so we can get that gasket held in place. So awesome. But yeah, we have our gasket held in place, which is really good. What's up, Fade? So yeah, we are doing a Topra build. So last night we did a really quick stream doing a Cherry MX build for one of my students at work, and that was really kind of heartwarming and special to do. So and today we're doing a client build. So it's kind of, we're taking a departure these past couple of streams for some really cool client builds that are different and unique. So yeah, we're getting this gasket on. Perfect. Awesome. So we got our gasket held in. We're going to kind of go over our top row now. And we're just going to start clicking in our housings. So, and again, we're going true HHKB on this one, which is really cool. Yep. Alright, give me a second. I want to just take a look at something really quick, because that seemed not the most correct. Hold it. Give me a second. I think I might have done the wrong gasket. Give me a second. No, so this is an aluminum plate for this one. I want to make sure that... Huh. Give me a second. Damn it. I think I did the wrong plate. I mean, sorry, the wrong gasket. Oops. Because... yeah. Let me see. Alright, that's... oops. I think I did the wrong gasket. Let's push these out really quick. Oops. Yeah, I think I did the wrong plastic plate. Because I was looking at them, that looks a little bit thin. So, let me see this really quick. So, I think I did the wrong one. Oops. That's fun. Well, it's all good, everybody. We'll get this one figured out. So, yeah, this is, yeah, Dynacap is fun. So, I'm really excited to get to work with this, because there's like, I got 3 Dynacap, I got this build, and I got 3 personal Dynacap builds I gotta do. Yeah, this is not the right gasket. It's a little too thin for my liking. Okay, so let's push those out. Yeah, this looked a little too thin. So yeah, we want this housing. Fun times, everybody. So yeah, this is the housing we want. So... alright, cool. So let's pull these little buggers out. Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's pull these ones out. Yeah, this is the one we want. I was looking at that and I'm like, that seems a little off. So, yeah, we're going to use this one. I'm like, yeah, that looked a little off with the... I was looking at those and I'm like, that one's off, so yeah, we're gonna pull all these off and then we'll put this one on. So yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, overall, like, Topra is really fun. I mean, if you ever get the one thing I think is cool with Dynacap, it's gonna make electrocapacitive or EC or Topra or whatever the heck you want to call them, I think a lot more accessible to a lot more people, because I think historically Topra has been very much a enthusiast thing and not very friendly to people who are more entry level into the hobby. Because one thing with Topra, it is expensive. Even with Dynacap, like, the Dynacap kits for like an HHKB or like a 60% are going to run you about $140. Which is really good. Hello. Oh my god, we got raiders. Holy crap, people. Hi. So one thing about Topra that's just kind of interesting is, hello, friends. Good god, I was not expecting this, friends. Thank you, Alex Otis's community. You guys are awesome. I love commenting in your Discord. Alex is absolutely lovely. So I hope to get to meet Alex one day. Maybe if he comes down to LA for Key Life, it'd be awesome. But we're doing a Dynacap build for a client, and we're doing, and we are going to be doing it in a Sho60 V3. So, yeah, Alex is amazing. Like, again, huge thank you to Alex's community for a raid. Again, I go, Again, welcome. We normally do like Alps and vintage stuff, but we've been doing a lot of Cherry MX stuff and Topra stuff. So we just, again, talk about really weird keyboards, and we build them here, and we just talk about life and what's going on in the community. So hello, friends. So it's a good time. So we are doing a Topra EC build for a client. So this is going to be a really cool build. I'm just installing I'm getting the gasket ready for this particular build. So one thing about Dynacap, if you build Dynacap, the Dynacap housings are specifically designed for 1.5 millimeter plates, and this showcase comes with a 1.2 millimeter plate. So you want to make sure that when you're building with Dynacap, you want to double check what thickness your plate is, because that's going to determine if you need gaskets. Like I have a couple personal Topra builds that we're going to be doing in the next few days, and those use 1.2 millimeter plates. So I'll definitely have to use gaskets as part of the build process. Because if you don't have the spacers or the gaskets for 1.2 millimeter plate with Dynacap, the housings are going to rattle, and they're just not going to be pleasant, and you're not going to have a really good experience with your Dynacap. So please be mindful of what thickness your plate is. So let's carefully pull. Yeah, this looks more proper. Yeah, this is the gasket we want. The other one just looked kind of flimsy and not the right thickness. I was kind of questioning. I'm like, that doesn't look right. Yeah, that looks more appropriate for what we're doing. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so yeah, there we go. That looks a lot better. Okay, cool. So let's get a couple of these installed, and we're gonna go from there. So, I have not tried the Raids HE. I have tried the Raids, the Navies, the EC versions of those. So those are really good. I've only tried their EC versions, what they're called, the Navies. The Navies are fine, but I think if you're gonna do like EC stuff, like I feel like the Navies, you just might as well just do proper EC. And now that Dynacap is a thing, like I don't really see the Navies as like a thing. And I know the Navies were like really popular on like the Agars, and I'm just looking at it this way, like if you have like an Agar, convert it to Dynacap. Like I know they released the plate files in the kit for the Agar Mini, and I have the Agar Mini that I'm going to be converting to Dynacap. It has Navies, and Navies are cool and they're fine, but they're not as good as like proper Topra or like Dynacap. So I think they're good. Like Navies are a really good introduction to like Topra or like EC stuff. But if you can, like, my really honest recommendation, get into OEM Topra if you want. Like, just if you want the cheapest option to get into Topra or like AC, just track down a factory HHKB. Like you can go on Marketplace or Craigslist or what have you. You can get an HHKB for like $80 to $100, like a Pro 2 or what have you, and those are awesome boards. And some people argue like factory HHKBs are like the best thing, like are literally like one of the best Topra experiences. And some people say like that is true endgame in Topra. I do like custom Topra. I think it's fun, and so yeah, there's a lot of ways to experience Topra. Like I think the cheapest way to do it is just track down an HHKB, like a factory HHKB. They're pretty cheap, pretty affordable, and they've been making them forever, so you can get them really, really cheap. So, and they're really fun boards. I mean, the true HHKB layout is pretty. It takes some getting used to. Like having like the 6U spacebar can take some adjustment if you're used to like a 6.25 or like a 7U spacebar, and also if you're not used to like having like a split 2U backspace, having backspace move down, things like that. So it does take some getting used to, like the HHKB layout. But I think it's a really enjoyable, and once you get used to it, like it's a really enjoyable layout, and it's one of my personal favorite layouts that I like using. So yeah, if you can get used to layout, and again, if an HHKB isn't for you, like again, the next great option that's factory are like either a Leopold FC660C or a Real Force TKL. So those are like your two kind of like factory OEM Topra stuff before getting into like the custom stuff. But if you get into custom stuff, that's where like Topra really gets expensive. Similar to like what I do with Alps. Like converting a board to like Topra or Alps can get very expensive. Like you gotta get a PCB. You have to get the parts. Like here in this case, you'll have to get either OEM Topra parts harvested from another board, or you're gonna have to get Dynacap, and then you have to find a board that's compatible and whatnot. So like Topra can get very expensive. Like, this is something I tell people, even with Dynacap, like this is where the hobby gets expensive. Like a Dynacap kit for like a 60% or a TKL is going to run you between 120 to maybe 150, say $160. That doesn't include a PCB. That doesn't include keycaps. And also that doesn't include the actual keyboard itself, the case you're going to put this in. So like this can get very expensive. Like this showcase is about 250 bucks. This kit's about $150. And then the key, we're just going to put some my personal GMK on this just for showcase purposes, but this will probably be a little over, this will probably be pushing $500 in terms of a complete build. If you can include the Dynacap, the PCB, the actual case itself, and then the keycap. So this is where the hobby really gets expensive, is going to be with like custom, like high-end Topra, like EC stuff. Like this is where we really, like this is where the hobby gets absurdly expensive. So we're just putting all of our housings in. And again, EC is really cool. Once we get to like the piece, once we finish putting all of our housings in and our sliders, like you're gonna kind of see how this all kind of goes together. But yeah, that's now we have a rock solid connection with our housings. Yeah, this is the proper gasket, so that's good. So we'll get another box of housings out and then we'll get going. But yeah, this is gonna be a really cool one, folks. So I think we're in Dynacap's really cool. And if you're someone who's relatively new to the hobby, like if you can swing it, like definitely explore Topra. If you are a person who is much more budget conscious, like this is going to be the coolest and most customizable at routes. But if you just want to try Topra, and like also another thing too, some people try Topra and they hate it. So like my recommendation is not to go the custom route. Like try an HHKB. If you say like, hey, I like this thing, maybe I want to make my own custom board, then you can go the custom route. But like this is a very just kind of the expensive route to go. I already know I like Topra. I've had a couple of some of the like OEM HHKBs. I've had a Leopold FC660C. And there's a lot of really exciting custom Topra projects coming out, which are really cool. And there's a lot of great boards that can be converted. Like SIP, who makes the PCBs, he has a plate file generator for a lot of like common boards that are out there. So like there's a lot of like, if you have a board that takes like a standard PCB, you could easily convert it to Topra, which would be really cool. You just have to get the plate made, you get the PCB, and then you get either OEM housing, OEM Topra parts, or you get Dynacap, and you'll be cooking with gas, getting it ready to go. So yeah, so we're putting all these goodies in. So we'll get one more bet. We just need a couple more housings. We need 3 more of our 1U housings, and then we'll move on to kind of the bigger housings for our 3 stabilizers. So we'll have 1 spacebar, and then we'll have 2 2U stabilizers for our enter and then our left shift. So okay, we're done with our 1U housings. So there we go, and you can kind of see how that kind of comes together. So it's very different. So yeah, so that's going to be really cool. So I love all those housings. So we got those white housings, I think, which go really good with this build. So yeah, those look great. So awesome. All right, let's put that stuff to the side. Now let's get our space bar. So this was the one part that kind of held us up last week, unfortunately. So we have the missing part, which is good, which is our spacebar wire. So we needed to order a 6U spacebar wire because we are doing true HHKB. Okay. So the lube really doesn't affect sound. Really what it does is it affects the feel. So unlubed, this is just from my personal experience, unlubed Topra housings, you're going to feel, it's going to be very, very scratchy. Versus if you lube the rails that the slider rides in the housing, you're going to get a much smoother and much more pleasurable experience with Topra. So like I'll kind of show you how I lube the slider rails within the housings. You don't need a lot. Topra, less is more with the actual lube and the slider rails, but you want a really light coat of lube in each of those slider rails because that's going to give you a much smoother experience with this particular board. So give me a second. So I gotta deal with something really quick. Wait, what? I'm on a thing. What's up? Sorry about that, folks. I had to take care of that. So, awesome, folks. So we got our 6U spacebar wire. Let's get out our stabilizers and also our 1U housings, because we're also gonna have to put on our. So we're gonna get out a bunch of parts here. So, all right, we want our domes. We got our mounting hardware. Okay, now we're just gonna get all the parts, because yeah, this is gonna be a fun build. So we have our 1U sliders, which I'm just kind of sorting out our parts right now that we're gonna be doing. Cool. So again, I don't really have a guide on how to mod Topra. I mean, I'd be happy to do it for people. Like I said, Topra is pretty easy. Like, the big thing you're just going to want to do if you get like a stock HHKB is you're really just, the biggest mod I would recommend is just lubing your rails and also, of course, lubing your stabilizers. Like, if you do that, you're just going to smooth up the experience, and it's just going to be a lot more pleasurable. So, just kind of sorting our 2 sliders and wires, 2 housings. Okay, perfect. I'm just making sure we got all of our components here. So let me get my little knife and we'll get going. So yeah. So let's get these out here. So yeah, but Topra is pretty straightforward. The thing is, like, and also there's a lot of great videos from people within the community who do really good work with Topra, who are a heck of a lot more experienced with me than me. And there's also a lot of great communities online. Sip, who designs the PCB, has an amazing Topra/EC community that does a lot of really great things. So that's what I would kind of recommend, is just checking out his community. So we'll put those to the side. Let's get this one out. So yeah, we're just getting out our stabilizer components. So, okay, we're getting out these. Okay, we got our 2U stab components right there, which are really good. And then we're gonna look at our spacebar. So this should be our spacebar unit right here. Yeah, we're just getting that one out, and then we should be good. But yeah, this is a really good time. So yeah, this is going to be our spacebar. So we'll get our spacebar units here, and we'll get these lubed up. We'll get our main stabilized keycaps lubed up, and then we'll kind of go from there. So that's going to be kind of our big one that we're going to do. So yeah, looking really good. So awesome. So here we go. So we'll do our 2U housings first. I just want to figure out that I'm identifying how these go together correctly. So again, this is my first time working with Dynacap, so I just want to make sure that everything connects accordingly. Okay, that's perfect. So we want to make sure. I want to identify what we want to lube here. So again, there is a lot of interchangeability with OEM Topra. The one thing with this is not going to be one-to-one OEM Topra. Dynacap is kind of its own thing a little bit. So just want to make sure that we're looking good there. And then that one's going to go there. Just making sure everything lines up correctly. And those are going to clip in there. Okay. I really just want to do that. Okay. Just making sure I know exactly what I want to lube on this one. So yeah, okay, cool. Have an idea of what we're gonna lube on this one. So let me get my 205G0 out, and we'll kind of go from there. So, wrong one. So, and the one thing with 205G0, whenever you're working with it, less is more. So that's always my advice. So we're gonna do our stabilizers, and we'll kind of go from there. So making sure it goes downward like that. Perfect. Because these ones, yeah. We're going to go down with that. Sweet. Okay, cool. So let's get a little bit of 205G0, and we're going to go from there. So, and like I said, less is more when it comes to these. So you're doing the ever so slightest and light loaded coating of lube on these. So, yeah, we're just doing a really light coat on the walls here. And then we're going to flip that around and just see. I'm going to add a couple light coats on the parts of the wire that are going to ride inside the housing. Alright, let's put this wire in. And there's a little bit where it clips in. We're going to add a little bit of lube right there. Alright, cool. And then we're going to clip this in. There we go. There's our little stabilizer right there. So, there we go, folks. And a little bit of lube right down there. Just to make sure we reduce kind of our rattle. So, there we go, friends. Cool. Alright. That's our stabilizer right there. So, yeah, there we go. So, let's plug that in. So, as you can see, there is our enter stabilizer right there, which is awesome. Cool. Now, let's do our other shift right there, and we'll get that one going. So let's just get that lube going. And yeah, this is going to be really good. So, again, with 205G0, less is more. Because another thing too, whenever, especially when you start lubing stuff, like it's really easy as like a first timer if you've never been familiar with it, like to over lube. But yeah, it's really simple. Like again, like I think with anything in this hobby, especially you get into some of the more advanced stuff, like some of the like super more complicated like Cherry MX builds or what have you. Like my advice is just take it slow and take it easy. Like building these is not a rush. It's not a race to do these. So just take your time. If you need to watch a YouTube video, or heck, if it takes you some time to build it, that is fine. These don't have to be done in an evening. So, yeah, we're just getting these stabs lubed up. Okay, let's get this a little bit of lube on that wire where it's going to clip in. Alright. There we go. Let's get a little bit of lube just on from that top housing portion. Cool. Alright. So, we have our, wiping off some of the excess, we have our 2U housings installed, which are really nice. So let's flip those over so you can see those 2U housings, which look fantastic. So those are lube, those feel nice and smooth, so that's awesome. Now what we're going to do is our space bar. So, and that's where this comes in. Again, Dynacap has different space bar sizes. If you order a Dynacap and you want to do an HHKB, make sure that you purchase a 6U spacebar wire as an add-on. If you buy the Dynacap as it is, it only comes with a 7U spacebar. If you're doing like one of these builds that's true HHKB, they take a 6U spacebar. So please be mindful of which one that you're doing. Okay, let's make sure. Yeah, let's identify how the heck these go together. Again, I'm just, this is technically my first time doing Dynacap, so I just want to make sure that I am putting everything together correctly. I've done OEM Topra before, but I have not done Dynacap. So I just want to make sure that I am putting everything in together correctly. So I just want to get an idea of how everything goes together. So that's just kind of what I am doing. Okay, we got those in. Or is it down this way? Yeah, we're going to go in this way. Yeah, give me a minute. All right. Oh, I need another 1U housing. Grab them. There we go. I need one for the spacebar. So yeah, I just put one of those 1U housings right there. Perfect. Okay. Just making sure I put in everything correctly. All right. Now, all right, let's get this going. I am going to lube the... Right. I know what I'm lubing here. So, that's good. Okay. Now we're just getting those rails lubed. Okay, cool. Got those in. Now, we're going to clip our spacebar in. So I want to do it. Add a little bit of lube right where the spacebar wire is going to clip in. This is going to help smooth it up and reduce rattle. So yeah, it should be good. So that's nice. I just put a little bit more right there. Again, with 205G0, less is more. All right, there we go. Perfect. And then add some lube to this portion of the wire that's going to interface with these inserts that are going into the spacebar housings. Okay, cool. Now, what we have now is let's get these little housing, these little attachments on. Cool. There we go, friends. Got them in. Can't really, let me flip it over just carefully so I don't want them to fall out. But yeah, there we go, folks. So we have our stabilized portions right there, which are looking good. So now what we're going to do is we have our stabilizers done. Now what we're going to flip over to do is we're going to actually start going through and we're going to be lubing the slider rails. And then once we have our slider rails, we'll get our sliders ready to go. We're going to put silencing rings on there from Dynacap. So we'll get that going. So I'm going to get this one going. So let's get some 205G0 out. And we're going to go through. So essentially what we're going to be doing here. If you look right here, there are little rails in the corner, in the top right corner and the bottom left-hand corner of each housing. That's what we are going to be lubricating. We're going to be using a very, very small coat of lube to coat our slider rails. So it's going to be very, very small, but that's what we got to do. We have like 60-something switches we got to do. So this is going to take, this is probably going to be the part of the build that does take a while. But again, this is the part that this is probably the portion of modding Topra that I think is the most worth it, because this is really going to smooth up the experience. Because without really doing this, like, you can get away with not lubing these, but it's going to be really rough, and you're definitely going to feel it. So Topra is very much a feel and a sound thing. So you definitely want to have lubed slider rails when you do this. So this will be the part of the build that does take the longest, but it ultimately is worth it. So this is the portion I am a big advocate for. So we're just kind of going through. So we got 3 of them done. So we're on number 4. So, yeah. This is the part we just kind of take our time. And again, we are not using a lot. The one thing that, again, people, when it's their first time leather, lubing switches or lubing stabs, it's really easy and very, very tempting to use a metric truckload of it. Thing with something like 205G0 or any of like the really popular lubricants in this hobby, like less is more. You really don't want to be using a lot. It doesn't take a lot to get these feeling really nice. So we're just going one housing at a time. And I'm just kind of putting my finger over the ones that we've done just so I don't lose track for each row. So just kind of going nice and slow on these. And again, I have some Topra builds in my personal collection right now that are built. I have a MM Studio Class 80 and a Class 0413. Both of those are built with the Topra kits. So yeah, I think everyone should have a Topra or EC build in their collection. They're fun boards, and it's a really fun switch system. And for some people, they consider it like, there's a lot of people in the hobby who consider like Topra like their favorite switch type. So like for me, again, I'm an Alps guy. I like the vintage switches, and again, Topra is an old switch. Like Topra goes way, way back. So it has been around a long time, and again, it's glad that it's for a long time it's had like a small like hardcore community and kind of a cult following within the keyboard hobby and like the keyboard space. But it's really nice to get kind of seeing Topra get more love, getting more attention from like the broader space in the hobby. So that's the one thing that's really, really nice with this, is being able to see that. So, yeah. So we're getting that going. Almost done with our first row, which is very nice. So. Okay, first row's done. We got 4 more rows to do. So we'll do our next row. So we just did our number row. So we got a quick question. Someone had a question in chat. So okay, so Topra, I mean, Topra is a very, it's a very tactile switch. Like Topra, I wouldn't say it's tactile as like something like hyper tactile, but it's a nice it's again, Topra is technically, it has a tactile feel, and it's very, very pleasant. I think with Topra, like, it's just it's hard to kind of replicate. I feel like Topra is kind of its own thing. I can't even really compare it to like Alps or like some of the vintage switches that I kind of mess with. It just kind of is its own thing. And that's like I think what makes Topra so fun and why it has such a rabid fan base. I mean, if you go to like keyboard meetups and you get a chance to like try like Topra stuff, like again, the Topra community, like it is very much a cult following. Like we're a niche within a niche. Especially if you see stuff like maybe like some of the higher end stuff like Norbauer stuff or what have you. Like it's really, really, like Topra is really cool. And again, like the Dynacap project definitely is going to bring more people into electrocapacitive boards and doing these types of builds. Because the one thing I always just try to encourage people with the hobby is Cherry MX is here to stay, and Cherry MX is like the quintessential switch within this hobby, but there are so many other sides to this hobby. And I've talked with some people too, is like, we've seen like a lot of my Alps content or what have you, when they say like the hobby kind of feels like boring or stale, and I tell them like, well, have you tried other switch types other than like Cherry MX? And they said no. And I said, well, you should try like some of the vintage stuff. Let me explore Alps or explore Topra, or look into Hall Effect, or some of the really cool vintage switches like IBM buckling springs, like these battleships or Model M's behind me. Like there's a lot more to this hobby than just Cherry MX. And I know the people who like kind of experience everything there is to know about Cherry MX. Like there's still a ton of ways to experience this hobby and just see another side of it. So that's why I just kind of tell people like there's a lot of really great ways to interact with this hobby in other ways. So that's why like I've really enjoyed like the vintage stuff, and like Alps really have become kind of my little niche within the hobby. So it's been really fun kind of exploring that, those subsections, and also meeting people who are genuinely curious about those. So I'm being able to kind of help guide people or inspire someone to do like an Alps build or do a Topra build. Like that's part of why I like doing like the basic content creation that I do. I'm not calling myself a professional like Alex or whatnot, but like I do like the posting online just to kind of help inspire people to do kind of weirder or more unusual builds within the hobby. So we got 2 rows done, so I'll move on to this next row. But that's like part of the fun for me, is just helping expose people to like another side of this hobby. And again, this is the part of the hobby that I am really passionate about, and I've kind of found my voice within the hobby. So it's been really cool. So it's really cool. Again, Topra is really cool. And again, we're going to be doing this is a client build, but we're going to be doing some of my personal Topra builds that I've been waiting for months to freaking do with Dynacap. So it's going to be really nice being able to finally do my personal builds. So I have 2 HHKBs in my Agar Mini that have been waiting for a while to get properly built and converted. Like my Agar Mini, we've had built with navies, and the navies are fine, but to do it with Dynacap is what I've been waiting for. And again, my 2 Han HHKBs have basically been sitting unbuilt for months at this point, waiting for Dynacap. So I'm really, really excited. So keycaps, we're gonna use a personal set that I have. The final keycaps that will go on this, the client kept. They didn't send over, but we're gonna be using just something really simple since it's a white case. We're gonna be using GMK Classic Black and White. So I'm keeping it really simple for this, just to showcase it. Again, I'm literally just going to use that keycap set for the purposes of the build stream, and also to take some nice pictures of this keyboard to post online. But before I ship it off to the client, I'll take this keycap set off, because that is one of my personal GMK sets. But the client has a really nice keycap set that they are going to be putting on this keyboard when they get it. So, and again, one thing to be aware of, if you do one of these like true HHKB builds, please make sure that your keycap set supports a 6U spacebar. For most GMK kits are not going to come with a 6U spacebar in the base kit. It's usually in one of the extension or add-on kits, or some GMK sets don't have 6U spacebars at all. So just be just be mindful if you're picking a keycap set. Just double check the keycap compatibility on like the keycap diagram, that it has that 6U spacebar. That's usually the hardest key to find compatibility. So like one of the keycap sets, I'm going to be, like both the GMK sets I'm going to put on my personal HHKBs, like I had to explicitly buy the add-on, track down the add-on kits that had the 6U spacebar kits. MTNU is really cool. I don't have any MTNU sets. Yes, we will be using the silencing rings. I'm just lubing up the housings right now. We've got the stabs installed. We'll start working on the housings in a few, once we get all these sliders lubed up. So that's just what we're doing. We got a couple more rows to get lubed up, and then we're going to start working on adding silencing rings. So yes, we will be using those. Now, one thing about Topra 2, those of you who may not be familiar, Topra also is a very quiet switch. So those of you who maybe are conscious about sound, or on the Cherry MX side have been interested in like silent builds, like Topra is a very quiet switch type. So it's very, very pleasant. So like I know some people who use Topra builds for their work keyboards, because again, you get that lovely Topra feel, but you also don't have the loud sound profile that can disturb people in like a workplace, for example. So, and again, one of my Topra keyboards will probably be my daily driver at my job. Because again, I do take in a different keyboard every day to work. Again, for those of you who don't know, I'm a school teacher in my day job. So I'm not in an environment where it needs to be like dead silent. I mean, so like, cause my kids are always like chatting and talking in class. So like, I don't need, but if I was like in a
traditional like office desk job where like people value a quiet workplace or what have you, yeah, I definitely would be rocking either like a silent build or like a Topra build. Because like my Alps builds, for example, those things are loud. Like Alps builds, very very loud keyboards. This is the one thing with Alps. Like, don't expect quiet out of Alps. Like, they're old school clack and they're loud. So, but yeah, we're almost done lubing our housings, which is good. This is the part that kind of takes the longest. Yeah, but we're actually making really good time here, folks. So that's really nice. So. I just know, like, Topra, you just do want to take your time, and especially if you are someone who is a first-time Topra builder. Again, there's a lot of great video tutorials on YouTube. There's a lot of great communities online, whether it be on Reddit or Discord for EC. So there's a lot of great resources. Thank you for the desk, man. Yeah, I got this from Chicken Man. He's the designer of GMK Cluck. He's also a really amazing keyboard and keycap designer who's based here in Los Angeles. So he's actually a friend of mine, and I have here's GMK Cluck. Here's his keycap set on the Mix 65. So, yeah, Chicken Man's a friend of mine. He's an awesome dude, and I usually get to catch up with him about life and talk keyboards at the keyboard meetups, because he's usually at every Southern California keyboard meetup. We have a couple keyboard meetups coming up in April, which is going to be really cool. So, a couple of colleges, the universities here in Southern California are going to be hosting some really cool meetups. So the University of California, Irvine, their keyboard club's hosting a meetup, and then UCLA, over on the west side of Los Angeles, is hosting a meetup. So I'll be at both of them. So, and again, a good chunk of my collection will be on display and featured at those meetups. So if you want to come see some cool stuff and you're located in LA and you want to see my collection, please come out and say hi. We will be giving away some cool keyboards. I guess I'll announce it now. We're going to be giving away an IBM Battleship at the UCLA meetup. What's up? So one thing to note, folks. Again, some of the meetups, just to do my own plug. If you're interested in winning a keyboard from me, a vintage restoration, and especially a badass one, this IBM Battleship we are going to be giving away at the UCLA meetup at the end of April. It's going to be on April 25th. So. Yeah, if you want to win a Battleship, let me please go to the UCLA Keyboard Club is going to be hosting a keyboard meetup April 25th on the UCLA campus. It's going to be from 1 to 4 p.m. Again, a good chunk of my personal collection will be on display. I'm going to be donating a board, some keycaps, some MX switches for donation, and that'll be given away. But like the big grand prize that I let them know that we're going to give away is we're giving away a Battleship. Not the big one. This is my personal proper Battleship. So what we're giving away is the smaller Battleship called the Battle Cruiser. So it's going to be a really, really cool one. So really excited. So, but yeah, if you definitely want to check out that one, definitely go to it. And also, if you're someone who's in Southern California, definitely check out the university meets that happen. Again, we're lucky, at least here in Southern California, to have a pretty active keyboard community. And a lot of big people within the space are based here in Los Angeles, which is really nice. So, yeah, so there we go, folks. So, okay, we have all of our housings lubed, which is nice. And we also have our stabilizers lubricated. So, that is awesome. So, love that. Just want to make sure everything is centered. There we go. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to put this assembly off to the side. And we're going to focus on our one-use sliders. And we're also going to focus on our silencing rings. So we're going to be, so these sliders are going to be in this really cool close. So we got to push to open. Okay. Push to open. Okay. How the heck do you open? I'm just going to pull it open. There we go. I'm just doing this the hard way, I guess. Cool. So we're going to open up 3 of these frickin' boxes. Alright, let's just rip these little boxes open. Let's get these housings out. And I'm not really sure. Talk to the UCLA club. They have a really good Discord server. They're pretty active on. But yeah, it's a really cool one. Again, I like the college meets because it's nice supporting local universities here. One of the keyboard clubs that I've been I've helped support over the years is the University of Southern California's keyboard club. Again, I'm an alumni of the University of USC.
But again, I'm really excited to go to the UCLA meet and support the UCLA club because, again, I believe in supporting our keyboard community. And again, it's also really nice to like inspire like the college students to like go in and join and to get into this hobby. I think it's really, really fun. So it's a really good time. So here we go. Here are our silencing rings. So let me just see how we're gonna do this because it's my first time. I've installed silencing rings, but like I said, this is my first time really doing Dynacap. So it's the same principle and concept. So I just want to see how it wants us to how I'm gonna install these. And we can kind of install them as we go. Okay, that's simple. That's pretty painless. So there's our little silencing rings, that little white ring. That's gonna make the billboard a little more pleasant. But yeah, it's gonna be really cool. And you can see that Dynacap, it has that Cherry MX Plus. That's the whole point of this project. So I'll put her. All right, we're gonna have to start raising our actual assembly now. So let's get these little things of tape here. There we go. And yeah, let me just move our sliders around really quick just to make my life a little bit easier. So we're just gonna kind of bring our assembly up. I'm using a couple things of tape because we're gonna start putting this puppy together now. You're gonna kind of see this board come together. So that's gonna be really cool. So all right, let's get that going. All right, so we have like 60 or so switches we got to do in here. So we'll get these silencing rings installed. And once we have a silencing ring, we'll place that slider into our board. So, but yeah, it'll be a really cool time. But yeah, 2-1. Thanks. Thanks for being interested in joining, going to the meet. It's a fun time. Again, if you're gonna, I'll be at the UC Irvine meet. The UC Irvine meet's gonna be April 12th, and then the UCLA meet's gonna be April 25th. So both of those are, I think, the UC Irvine one's a Sunday, and then UCLA's I think is on a Saturday, if I'm correct. So it's gonna be kind of cool to do two really cool meetups in the span of 1 month. So I haven't had the opportunity to go to any meetups this year. I went to a bunch in the fall, which is really cool. So that was really nice. So yeah, we're really spoiled here in Los Angeles. Again, having a very active community here, and also having a lot of really great universities around that have keyboard clubs that are very active. So again, we have three of the biggest universities in the region have pretty cool keyboard clubs. And then one thing that's really cool too is like a lot of some of the keyboard. Okay, so I did build. Oh yeah, Brown Alps. So yeah, the ETAR 87 was sick. So yeah, we built that with Brown Alps, which was awesome. That was a kind of a joint project. So at the time when we did that project, I did not have enough Brown Alps for that particular project, and so I got some. Give me a second, Ed. Yeah. All right. I'm literally sitting on a mountain of Alps. I did not have enough Brown Alps for that particular project. So recently, I say like a month and a half ago, I got my hold of like 200 something Brown Alps for like dirt cheap. So we're definitely going to be doing some personal Brown Alps builds in the future. Oh yeah, so the ETAR 87 that we did for like the review for the Bloody Easy, that was a really cool project. But at the time, I only had about 60 Brown Alps. So I reached out to my friend Careless for that project. And I said, hey man, like, could I like possibly borrow some Brown Alps that you have? And Careless said, yeah, I'll send you like 100 of them. And you can use them for the project. I'm like, sweet. So Careless sent me the remaining Brown Alps I needed for that project. The ETAR 87, of course, has like 87 switches. I only had about 60 Brown Alps to do it. So when we did that board, it had like $600 worth of switches in it. But with my recent acquisition of a bunch of Brown Alps, like 200 or so Brown Alps, like, we're going to be doing some cool personal projects with those. My Alps project backlog is eternal. I'm working right now off stream, getting my Apple Alps boards back together. So I have 9 Apple keyboards that have Alps that need to get built. So those are kind of my priority, getting those boards back together before I jump into any other projects within my project queue. So I'm working on the Orange Alps boards for the Apple boards, and then I have 4 Salmon boards, and I have 2 dampened tactile boards I got to put together. So yeah, Alps are a very slow process. So I just accepted when I do Alps, like the builds get done when they get done. So, but another exciting review project we're doing, I'm going to be one of the people reviewing the Seal80. So the Seal80 is going to be going on Group Buy on March 23rd, and it'll go all the way till April 24th. So the Seal80 is a really cool project because it supports 7 different switch types. Like that board is not really built for Cherry MX. It's built for Alps. It's built for Topra. It's built for Omron switches, Space Invaders. So I'm going to be getting one of the review units, and I'll be one of 2 of the reviewers who are going to be doing Alps, and I'm also going to be doing a vintage switch called Space Invaders, which is really cool. So the review unit I'm getting through Dynacap as a partnership with Sensi and Dynacap. So the review units are on their way to Dynacap right now, so it's just how fast the shipping takes place. So once we get that board in, we'll do the Alps build as part of promotion for the group buy, and then when we get the Space Invader parts ready to go, then we'll do a Space Invaders build, and that's most likely going to be after the group buy has concluded. But myself and Black Simon are going to be the people who are going to be reviewing the board and building it with Alps, which is going to be really cool. So definitely tune into Black Simon's build stream when he gets his review unit as well. So we're going to be, a bunch of the other big creators did get Seal80 review units, of course, like Alex Odos, but again, they're all doing it Cherry MX. And the cool thing about the Seal80, like it's, yeah, the Seal80 is an amazing project, but the cool thing about it, if you don't any background about the Sensi guys, the team behind it, like they did the Seal full-size keyboard, and that keyboard was awesome. And I built my Seal with Black Alps, and it's a freaking awesome board. But the thing about the Sensi guys, they're massive vintage keyboard enthusiasts, like even bigger than me. Like I've gotten to see some of their like personal collections and some of their friends, and like so they're huge into vintage keyboards. So a lot of what they want to do in terms of the projects they bring to Group Buy, they want to have that vintage keyboard support or that influence in what they're doing. So they're really awesome. So, and again, just talking with them, they saw my stuff, like I got the opportunity and they threw it out there, like of me being able to review one of the, being a part of the review process and promotion of the Seal80. So I'm really excited for that opportunity. And it's gonna be really cool. I got the dark green colorway, and we're gonna build the one that I'm gonna be building. We're gonna be building it with green linear Alps when we get it in. So it's gonna be a really cool project. I can't wait to be part of that project. And Sensi is also working on another project that's gonna come out later this year. It's also very Alps focused in terms of its design and whatnot. And they said I'll definitely be a part of reviewing and promoting that board as well. So definitely have kind of made Alps my thing, but it's been really cool too, kind of encouraging people like in a lot of the vintage circles I'm in. Like the Seal80 is a really cool board. You can have a modern keyboard that natively supports some of your favorite vintage switches, including my favorite, which are Alps. So, and it also has EC support, has Cherry MX support, supports Space Invaders, Omrons, and a couple other switch types that I'm not really familiar with. So yeah, it literally supports everything. So it's going to be a really sick keyboard project, and I really hope people who get it, they build it with like one of the vintage switches. Because again, like there's so much more in this hobby than just Cherry MX. Like there's a lot of really great switch types that are amazing and can bring a lot of enjoyment and fun out of the hobby. So again, I'm trying to think, let's think of the switch types I have. So of course I have Cherry MX, I have Hall Effect, I have Topra, I have buckling spring, I have capacitive buckling spring, I have Alps. So yeah, we have a nice variety of switches within my personal collection of boards. So it's nice to kind of showing people some of the different switch types that are out there that you can really kind of explore. So I mean, like this keyboard that's just off camera right here, that's my Generation 1. Nice. Yeah, so Seal what's really cool about that is the my ETAR 87, like the review unit that I utilized, I sent back to the Bloody Easy because the unit I'm going to be getting is the brown colorway unit that's in the next layout that Alex Otis reviewed. So that keyboard's eventually going to be sent to me. Again, due to current things that are happening in the world right now, the Bloody Easy kind of told me it's kind of it'll probably be a minute before I get that particular unit, which I told him, bro, I'm not in a rush, and also I'm doing some really cool vintage projects for the Bloody Easy, in terms of Alps. So we just did a next keyboard with Blue Alps. That's actually going to the Bloody Eyes, which is the Bloody Easy, which is really cool. And there's one other vintage project that I've been working on in the background for the Bloody Easy, which is really cool. So yeah, we got a lot of really cool stuff coming up that we're doing. So it's again, like I said, my project pipeline is eternal. Yeah, the Blue Alps next keyboard came out amazing. That thing is a joy to type on, and Blue Alps just make any board freaking amazing. Like, Blue Alps are my favorite switch type. So yeah, they're absolutely lovely. In the next keyboard. So yeah, because the unit that I will get from Alex Odos and the Bloody Easy, I'm going to be putting Brown Alps in. So like, now that I have enough Brown Alps in my personal collection, like, again, we are definitely again having my personal ETAR with Brown Alps when I eventually get that one in. So, and again, I've been talking with the Bloody Easy too, because he's working on some other projects as well in the future, so he definitely wants to collaborate more so in the future. It's funny. I thought it was the Bloody Eyes at first, but it's the Bloody Easy. So I learned that listening to the Good Keyboard Friends podcast when he was on, and Hubert kind of clarified that, like, that's how we properly pronounce his username. So yeah, the Bloody Easy has definitely become a good friend of mine. He's a lovely dude, really good background, really down to earth, and like, again, his future projects, like if you're looking for really cool boards that have really cool design and are awesome, like definitely check him out. Again, having gotten hands-on with the ETAR 87, like, it's such a cool board, and the design work that he put into the boards are awesome. So like, I definitely look forward to collaborating with him more in the future. Because again, it was a really fun time. And again, I was, as someone who was a little bit smaller in the space, but I have my specialty with like Alps and whatnot. Like, he was super open to it, because again, like the Bloody Easy's project, like all of his boards, his PCBs support Alps. So like the solder PCBs on his keyboards have the holes for both Cherry MX and Alps. So that yeah, the Migra and the FSC are really cool. So I told him, like, he said he definitely wants he's working on a couple full sizes. The FSC is one I'm really excited for, the Migra TKL2. So he said he definitely wants to send those units my way so I can take a look at them and just help kind of promote those projects, which is really cool. So yeah, we're making our way through putting the sliders in. Once we have our sliders and our silencing rings on, then we'll move on to our rubber domes and then installing our springs. So we're just kind of slowly working our way through with these gaskets. I'm sorry, not the gaskets, these silencing rings. So yeah, it's coming along. Alright. Coming along. Alright. Yeah, so we're making good progress and headway. But yeah, this is a really cool project, and like I said, Topra EC, definitely love working with these keyboards and getting these sliders in. So yeah, it's slowly coming along, starting to look like a keyboard assembly. So that's the one thing with Topra, as you can see, it's a lot of pieces and it's a lot of steps. You just want to take your time doing it. It's very doable. Like, Alex Odos has a stream from a couple years ago where he did a Class 80 with the Topra kit, and he had never really done like a EC build before, and he was able to do it no problem. So yeah, you just got to take your time, especially even if it's your first time or you're getting your feet wet with like Dynacap or like an EC build. Just take your time and go slow, and the board will come together. So
That's what that's just what I do. I just kind of take my time and just let the build kind of shape up as it comes along. All right. But yeah, it's a really cool board. So yeah, we're going through. All right. All right. Looking good. Yeah, we'll probably get one more set of sliders out. But yeah, this is pretty good. Oh yeah, modding, I mean, as much of a pain in the ass Topra is, it is a lot quicker than modding like MX switches, or hell, even modding Alps. As someone who's torn down probably thousands and thousands of Alp switches at this point, this is a lot quicker. Even though this is still a lot of work. Like, this isn't as much work as like working on some of my vintage keyboards or like Alps. But like Topra's not hard, it's just tedious. That's the thing, especially when we get the domes out and the springs, you're going to kind of see why it gets tedious. And then once we start, like, putting the PCB on, like, that's where it gets kind of tedious. But it's not difficult to do. That's the thing with Topra. It's a very doable thing. So, yeah, very, very straightforward, very simple to do. So, again, it's not as easy as, like, a hot swap Cherry MX build. But again, this is still very doable, even with someone who's brand new to the hobby. Yeah, so, yeah, very, very doing. Oh, hell yeah, R059, my Alps. So R059 or like super, super light codes of 205G0 is what I've usually had the best success with. If I'm feeling really lazy, I just do light coats of 205G0 on the slider rails on the top housing of the Alps, and that has been absolutely fantastic. So it just depends. But yeah, Alps are a metric crap load of work. That's why I sell switches to people, just because they are so much freaking work. That's like they're just a big thing with it. So, all right, we need 4 more sliders, and then we'll be good. Pull out this. I need 4 of these little red things. And then we're good. Cool. Alright, 4 more. Yeah, we're making really good progress on this one. So. Last slider and silencing ring, and then we'll be ready to start putting our domes and then our springs on. Cool. Alright, let's put these silencing rings away. Alright. Yeah, 205G0, it works on Alps. You just gotta be really careful. You don't, again, with the Topra stuff, you don't want to use too much 205G0. Ridiculously thin coats, and it works really, really well. I'm just gonna... Yep, all those sliders fit in there perfectly. Yep. Okay, cool. Now, let's get our domes. So... open up these. So we're going, the client for this build opted to go with the light domes. So that's what we're doing. So we're just going to put these domes in. We're going to put in most of the strips, and then we'll have to get some scissors out and cut some of these domes. So, oops, those are the springs. We don't want to get those out just yet.
Yeah, but these Dynacap has 3 different dome weights. The light is fine. It's 35 grams in spring weight. Hey, if you don't like it, just we'll rebuild it. It's fine. It's not too much of a pain in the ass to swap them. But yeah, we're gonna go with these light domes. So these have a 35 gram weight. So we're just gonna. Okay. All right, I'm gonna have to go get some scissors really quick. Give me a second, folks. I don't have them. Let me go grab them. Cool. Here we are, friends. We've got some scissors. We're going to have to cut some of these domes, which is fine. So, alright. Yeah, for my personal builds, I opted for the heavy domes. So those are the 55 gram domes, but they also have what they call the medium weight domes, which are going to be 45 grams. So, alright. So, let's see. We just got to cut off one right here. That one right there. Perfect. Cool. Look at that. We'll put that dome right there. Yeah, this is the part where it becomes very agonizing to do. Okay, we're cutting off 2 right here. Perfect. Okay, we've got individuals right there. Alright, let's do this. Let's cut these ones. Alright, let's insert these domes into our stabilized keycaps. Perfect. Now we're going to cut 3 for that top portion right there. So yeah, this is the part that just takes time. Stick 3 up there. So light domes, are they more or less tactile? I'll be completely honest, I've never used these domes. Again, most of my experience with Topra is like OEM. This is my first time using Dynacap, and I've only ever really used like the OEM Topra stuff, so I don't really know. So we're going to find out together when we do our typing test at the end of this, when we get this built. I really don't know. So we're going to find out together, everybody. But the nice thing with Dynacap is they do have options for weight, because everyone's preferences are a little bit different. So yeah, I got that. Perfect. And then we need to get one more box of domes. Then we have our springs. Yeah, so these are, again, these are going to be 35, so these are going to be these are going to be on the lighter side for Topra. So yeah, we need some individual ones right here. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, so these are going to be 35 grams in weight. So that's the only thing. So these are going to be these are going to be light. So, hey, for my client, if you don't like it, we'll just rebuild it. So, yeah, it's a light spring weight. So it's gonna be not like fatiguing or heavy to utilize. So, yeah, this is
also gonna be my first time like
properly using Dynacap. I've used Dynacap. I've tested Dynacap at Keep Life because Clever and OmniType were there with some like with like some samples. So like I've used it and it feels awesome. So like, but like using it more than for like 10 seconds or like a keyboard meetup, I don't have long-term experience with it. So with Dynacap, but it's a good product. So here we go. Cool. Now we have all of our domes there, folks. So we're getting close. So got those. Got a bunch of discarded stuff. So now our next thing is going to be our springs. So we have a ton of these springs here. Yeah, that sounds about right, Sea Llama. So, all right, we have these little springs here, and we're gonna place all of them inside each of those domes. So it's a combination of spring and whatnot. So this is the part that's also very, very slow. And you also gotta be really careful when you do this because these springs are like really fragile. So you just want to take, like I said, Toprite, you just take your time. Yeah, just take your time. So we're just putting all these in. We got about 60 or so of these we got to put in. Gonna get these clusters of springs separated as we do it. So, yeah. Just kind of going through it. Yeah, so we're going good. Yeah, we're going to see how this one goes. Like I said to my client, if you don't like it, we'll just rebuild it with a different dome weight. So, it's all good. Besides, building Topper is fun. And some of these springs have come stuck together, so I just got to unseparate them. So, yeah, it's all good. Just get them unseparated. So yeah, it's all good. Let's put these scissors out of the way. Yeah, some of these springs came in pretty stuck together, so. You know, this is the part where you just want to be really careful. Those are two springs stuck together. We don't want to. Move on from that. Okay, here's one. And we got about 60 of these damn things we got to put in, so. It's just carefully untangling them. Because again, these springs are really fragile. So we just want to take our time. Yeah, I've done that. A lot of these are like stuck together. So like I have to like manually separate them, which sucks. So I've tried to like the simple like throwing them down. But a lot of these springs are like tangled together, which kind of sucks. So, yeah. Yeah, so manually separating them it is. So.
We're getting there, folks. Yeah, we are getting there. So it's just manually separating these, which is an absolute joy. Alright, what's up, Nicky? What's up? What's up? So, we are doing a Dynacap build today. So we're just separating these damn springs right now, which is as delightful as it looks. So almost dropped one. So yeah, we're getting there, folks. Once we get these done, then we'll basically be ready to, we'll start prepping the PCB. And then we'll be really close to being done. Slow and steady process. Oh yeah, Topra parts are expensive. That's just the thing I tell people. Like, Dynacap is making EC more accessible in terms of like parts access, but this is still very expensive. Like a Dynacap kit's gonna run you between $120 to like $150. Then a PCB will be another $60 to $80. Then you need to find a case, and then you'll probably have to get a plate made, and that's an additional cost. And by the time you get keycaps, like, you're looking at a very expensive keyboard. Like, this is not a budget. Like, Topra is not a budget-friendly side of the hobby. So if you are someone who's more budget-conscious, like, do not do custom EC. Now, if you want to experience, like, Topra / electrocapacitive keyboards, here's my recommendation for the most budget-friendly option. Look up a HHKB. I mean, like a happy hacking keyboard, like a one from HHKB. And you can find them for like $180 to $100 if you shop smart on like Mech Market or like Marketplace. And that'll get those are Topra keyboards. Like, those are some of the OGs. And you can kind of try Topra / EC for a very inexpensive price. Because the worst thing is say you put all this money into like a custom Topra build, and you realize, oh wait, I hate this, and then that really sucks. Oh yeah, exactly. You can get like an HHKB Pro Classic or like a Pro 2 for like literally not a lot of money. So if you're very budget conscious and you don't want to get into like the expensive side of Topro, like the custom stuff, like that is what I recommend. Because again, this is very expensive. And that's why I just tell people, like, just be prepared. Like, if you're going to get into like custom Topra, or like, hell, even custom Alps, like, you're going to be spending a lot of money. That's where the hobby gets really, really expensive, is when you do this like custom stuff. So yeah, we're just separating these dang springs, man. Separating these springs is fun. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mech Market is your friend. Whether you're using, like, the Mech Market Discord server or you're using, like, the page on Reddit. Like, I have gotten so many great deals and so many great boards in, like, my personal collection or parts that I need or keycaps from Mech Market. So, like, yeah, if you definitely don't want to... If you're definitely looking for stuff, like, definitely check out Mech Market. Just be aware if you're new to this hobby and you discover that, oh, what's this Mech Market thing? Just be prepared to spend an ungodly amount of money there. Like, Mech Market has cost me a lot of freaking money since I got into the hobby, so just be aware that's where if you really like money, don't go to Mech Market, because you're gonna be spending that money on metal rectangles and
plastic to go on those metal rectangles. So just be aware. It's very, your wallet's going to hate you if you go on Mech Market. Because you're going to see a lot of cool stuff that you want. And you're going to want to buy all of it. Okay, that's kind of hard to separate. There were some of these clusters of... Yeah, we're getting there. We're like to our last like few springs. So hopefully these final ones I got to separate aren't too bad. Yeah, so we're just going through. Okay, we got another one. Like 4 more we gotta do. We are getting there. We got like 2 more, so hopefully there's 2 left in here that aren't absurdly difficult to separate. Okay. And then we'll get our PCB prepped, and you'll kind of see the weird little mod that I do to the PCB, which will be, it's always fun explaining that one. Alright, found my last spring. Alright, come on. There we go. Alright, cool. I'm going to grab a little cup to put the rest of these in. So we got a bunch of leftover. And the nice thing about these Dynacaps, they give you more parts than you need, which is nice. So, alright. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we're putting the springs in the domes. Again, Topra is weird and it's its own animal. Alright, so we have our PCB, folks. So, I'm going to show you something that I learned that we're going to do. So, we're going to lube the PCB. Some of you are probably looking at me like I'm crazy. I am not crazy. This is a mod that I learned from some Topra folks that I do on my personal Topra builds. You essentially are adding a light coat of 205G0 in each of these little white circles. And that prevents these springs from kind of crunching and binding. So it's a nice little mod that I picked up. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to lube our PCB, folks. So yes, this is really weird. Again, EC is its own weird system. So yeah, this is really interesting. So again, we want to keep our very light coat of lube inside the little each EC dome circle. So yeah, we're just adding a little bit of lube. So, little weird mod, but hey, it works. So I do this for all my EC builds, and it works wonders. It's a really weird one. So yeah, Topra's a very weird system. Again, very different from like Cherry Max or hell even Alps. So. And these are electrocapacitive keyboards. So again, also if you look up this PCB, it looks very different from like what your standard PCB looks like, whether it be a solder or a hot swap PCB for like Cherry MX or heck even Alps.
space on this one, so. Cool. All right, we got our top row done. Now we're going to go on to our next row, folks. So. Cool. Coming along. Like I said, this is a very different experience. So we are going in, friends. Look at that. Cool. All right. Awesome. We got like 3 more rows we're going to do. We're not doing step caps because this is actually going to be our control key because this is an HHKB. All right. So getting close, friends. So, making good time on this one. Cool. Alright, and then our enter right there. Awesome. And we're going full left shift here. So we're cutting that full left shift one. Alright, getting close. And our bottom rows where things get a little weird, so I gotta do some lining up. Split left shift here. Cool. Now our bottom row is where things get a little bit weird, so I want to just like. So yeah, you can have issues. You can kind of ask the chat. Like some people are vehemently against GMK. They say GMK does. Some people argue that like PBT sounds better. But it's the jury's kind of out on that, really. So, like I personally, in my Topra builds, I use GMK But I know there are some people who say like, nah, don't use GMK. I'm like, so it just really just comes down to personal preference. So, like, whatever you prefer. Some people say, oh, PBT, because some people say, like, the argument for, like, PBT is, like, the original HHKBs came with PBT keycaps. So people say, like, oh, that's the purest, like, and best sounding for Topro. Some people say, like, nah, ABS is fine. So that's why people will say, like, nah, I'm fine using GMK. So it's just personal preference. What do you prefer? That's at the end of the day, it's like, it's your keyboard. You can kind of figure out what you think feels or sounds best. So whether you want like ABS, like a GMK set, or do you want something more PBT, there's a lot of, it just comes down to personal preference. So we got our PCB lubed up. Now we're going to put our PCB down. And yeah, we're just going to... slowly press. Okay. Now, let's put that down. We're probably gonna have to poke some holes. So give me a second. So. Probably gonna poke some holes in here, so I realize we have that gasket and it's covering up a lot of the holes we need. So I'm just gonna do a couple. Okay, so we're going to get our Dynacap hardware. And we're going to start screwing some of these in. So let's figure out what bit we're using here. Yeah, I'll use that bit. So there's a metric crap load of screws that hold this together. Just want to make sure that that is gripping, yeah. Okay. Okay, that's not gripping the way I would want it. So we might have to use the ones that came with it. Yeah, these aren't gripping. Okay. Okay, so we're not using the Dynacap screws. We're going to use the ones that came with it. So that's fine. The Sho board did come with its own hardware. So that's fine. Okay, we're using Phillips for this. Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's try these Phillips. Yeah, these look like a little bit bigger, so we'll try these. Ah, crap. Okay, let's try this. We're gripping. Okay, we're gripping. We're good. Punched holes in a few portions. try and get these corner.
Give me a second, folks. I gotta take care of something. Sorry about that, folks. That's when you have a doggo around, and we'll check in on the doggo. Let's poke a hole for that one. Here, we're gonna poke a hole right there. Now, we're just going to kind of go around because the gasket we have on here kind of holds the whole operation in place. So we got some screws in. So let's get a screw right there. So we have a metric crap load of screws. Now, one thing about these screws too is you do not want to go too tight when you tighten these screws down, because that's going to, if you have too much pressure, you could damage the PCB. So for this one, again, you just want to go a nice little finger tight. Nothing too tight. That's just kind of a rule of thumb on these boards. So I'm just kind of going back and forth. Again, we're just poking holes. And we're just screwing everything in. So we're just kind of going around the perimeter. And getting everything held in. So, yeah, we're using the screws that came with the board. Not the Dynacap screws. So, one right there that we're doing. There we go. Yeah, there's also a metric crap load of screws on Topra. So by the time we're done with this, we'll have a good idea. There's a ton of freaking screws here. Okay, not that one, but we'll do this one. So yeah, we're flipping between bits as we kind of screw these down. We're getting some good tension. Okay, so this one right here. So second, there's little pieces of foam getting in between our screws, so we just want to Cool. But yeah, you can see that Dynacap. That white, honestly, the white and red was a good choice for this build. So, yeah. So we have a few more in the kind of center area that we're going to do. There's one right here we got to poke out. Okay. Got that one. Poke out that one. That one's been poked out. And we got that one. That one. And that one. Okay, cool. Alright, we've got some good screws. Let's get them. Cool. Yeah, so we're making good progress. So right there. Yeah, there's a ton of screws that hold this down because it has to be sandwiched together because you want decent pressure so the capacitive switches can make proper contact. Let's see if we can do it. We can get a screw right there. Okay. Alright, I think we have enough of these. Let me just put these screws back for Dynacap, because we did not utilize these puppies. And again, to my client, again, I will package up all your spare Dynacap parts. So, which is good. You know what's funny? Yeah, show boards are sick. I had a Sho60 V3 at one point, but I sold it because I really wanted to build it with Dynacap, and at the time, Dynacap was several months away. So I just, instead of just sitting on the board for like ever, I literally decided it's better to sell it, get it to someone who genuinely wants to build it out. Oh, I forgot to do one screw right there. And there are a metric crap load of screws on this, so just be aware. So we want to make sure we have proper contact. So. And we're just making sure all of our screws are all the way down, making proper pressure. Cool. All right, let me just make sure. Alright, so just making sure all of our screws are properly torqued down, because that is important for This, you don't want them too tight, but you want them tight enough that you're making proper contact and everything. Yeah, fun times, everybody. Hey, someone's venting in the chat. Look at that. So, all right, friends. So, we're getting there, folks. We're just going to test the PCB, and hopefully everything should work. We'll calibrate it, because we do need to calibrate EC PCBs. So, we'll get this thing calibrated. We'll get it tested, and then we'll do final assembly on this thing. So, all right. So, let's put these tools to the side. All right, but yeah, there you go, friends. Look at that. That looks pretty good. So let's get this board plugged in. So let's open up the case, and yeah, we'll get her plugged in and whatnot. Okay, let's get our little screw tray out. But yeah, this should be a fun time, everybody. So. Alright, so there's 6 on the bottom. This is a top-mounted keyboard. We're not going to fully do the top mount. I want to get the PCB calibrated. Alright. Oh, Extra Chris, thank you so much, my man. Thanks for dropping in and checking out our builds. We're doing a Dynacap Topra build for a client today. So you'll definitely be seeing this on Discord and Reddit tomorrow. Once we get her all built up, I'm gonna take the daughter board out just so we can properly test this thing. And then once we're ready for final assembly, then we'll put our daughter board back in. Oh, thanks. Thanks, folks. Yeah, I had an opportunity to go on the Good Keyboard Friends podcast a couple weeks ago, and they posted the episode last week. It was an honor and a pleasure being on there, talking with some people in the hobby I genuinely am interested in, have a lot of respect for. So, yeah, thank you. It's been awesome hearing people's positive feedback and reactions to the podcast. So that's always a good time. So let's get this plugged in. Okay, our PCB is lighting up. So let me go into VIA, and I want to get this board calibrated. Let me go into my settings. Oh, so the podcast I was on, it's called the Good Keyboard Friends Podcast. So it's a really cool podcast. It was started by Hubert. He goes by Hubert the Mad. Give me a second. PC Tools. You want to go to calibration. Okay. We are calibrating the PCB. So we're currently calibrating the PCB. So we're just actuating all the switches and making sure that they make proper contact with the PCB. Okay. All right, now let's go to our key tester now. Top row works. That works. Okay. Okay, that works. Hey, we built it correctly, folks. It all works. So, Again, happy tissues. It works. We built it correctly. So there you go. All right, that's always good. So let's get this unplugged. Let's do final assembly, and then we'll get keycap. We'll get my keycaps on to kind of do a proper sound test. So yeah, the assembly works. So happy tissues. I want to say I think doing the red and white I think was a good call with this white plate and white colorway. I know you're not going to see it, but I think it really I think it goes really well. So we're gonna get this puppy mounted. I need to actually get the show parts out again because we need to top mount this. So let's get that out. Let's get our top case and we're gonna top mount this puppy. So let's insert that assembly in and we'll get that top mount going. So let's get that beautiful top mount, which is my favorite mounting style. And we'll get this puppy going. Yo, it's a fun theme. And again, like, I'm just, for the purposes of the build today, in like, just like glamour shots, I'm going to be putting GMK black on white. But the client has their own keycaps on hand that they're going to be putting on for their build. So, but just for the purposes of stream tonight and showcasing this build, we're just going to have this build with GMK black on white, which is going to be perfect because this is an all white show build, which is nice. So yeah, so we're on the home stretch, folks. So I'm glad this works. So it's all calibrated, and then for my client, I'm gonna program this the way a HHKB is normally programmed. And then again, once you get it, you can put what keycaps work best for you. But this is going to be set up in like a traditional HHKB layout. And you'll kind of, as we put the keycaps on, I'll kind of explain just a old school traditional HHKB layout. And also too, this has a bunch of layers. This also has RGB lights on the bottom. So I'm going to turn the lights off. But oh yeah, look at that. That is sick. So really nice. Let's get we'll put the rest of these screws away. And then we'll get this board mounted. So we'll put our daughter board back in. Okay. Let's get our daughter board put in. Yeah, that looks really good. So yeah, white definitely was the right call on this board. So let's get our daughter board mounted. And yeah, let's put the pieces of tape away. So let's get this puppy mounted. Got that mounted. Well, let's get our JST cable connected, and then we'll be ready for final assembly. So let's just get this JST cable connected and just kind of wrap so it doesn't bind. There we go. We also got to put our what the. Got it. Let's get these screws in. Cool. Look at that, folks. That is awesome. All right. Before we put keycaps on, I want to do one additional test of everything. We can move my work mat out of the way because I want to fire it via one more time and just double check everything works. I'm going to turn the underglow lighting off. Just give me a minute. I'm going to turn that underglow lighting off. Because, again, you're not going to see it. There's no underglow lighting on this board. Okay, give me a minute. My V is being weird. Huh. Huh. Alright, but let me just go into... Cool. Yeah, we're good. Alright. So, let's get our GMK set out, and we'll start putting this set on. So, this is my personal GMK set. This is literally going to go off this board tonight. I'm just putting it on as we go. So, there we go. All right. So, cool. All right, let's put in our number row here. And yeah, let's actually get our backspace. And then let's get our 6U spacebar, which I think should be this one. No, not that one. Should be this one. Yeah. Oh, that sounds nice. That sounds nice. Let's get our other stabilized keycaps, put them on there. Oh man, those are awesome. Alright, and then our control. Perfect. Alright, now let's get this puppy going. Oh, we want that small shift right there. Want our smaller shift. Where the heck are you? Okay. Function goes right there. Where'd my shift go? Just where I had it. Oh, there it is. Bro. Alright, cool. Now we can put the main cluster of these on here. And then we'll fix that, do that bottom row in a second, but... yeah, I felt for the purposes of showcasing this board, with the keycaps I had on hand, this was kind of our best option. So, yeah, we got a true HHKB here. So, yeah, these are fun builds. Again, they're tedious, they're not difficult, but they're just a lot of work. So, alright. Coming along, folks, and we'll get those bottom portions by the spacebar done soon. But yeah, an all white build, heck yeah. Alright, now let's figure out how I'm going to do these. No, one big super, dang, okay, cool. Put our alts right there. And then we're going to do our supers. Where the heck? One more. Let's make sure profiles look good. No, super go. Bro. Am I like losing my marbles? Where's my other super? There it is. Bro. Alright, there we go. Cool. Yeah, give me a second, my guy. Well, show it off, but yeah, look at that, folks. That is our HHKB. So, really cool board. I think this is, again, white on black looks really good. Oh, we have the feetsies we gotta put on. Let's get those feet. Where the heck did the... Where did I put that bag of stuff? Give me a second. Put the feet somewhere. Where the heck did they go? There they are. Yeah. Give me a second. Now these feet are being weird. Give me a second. Huh, okay. Alright, my client, these feet are being weird. So the adhesive is secretly being ripped off. I don't know why. The adhesive is being so stubborn. So you may have to just get some 3M double-sided tape. I'm going to put some different feet on. I'm not going to put the feet on. Because, yeah, it's just, I'll do something. I'm going to put some 3M, a double-sided adhesive on the feet, so they properly adhere, but I'm not going to do that on stream. So we won't have the feet for the purposes of this, but we have our board, which is pretty good. This is a really clean board, so let me get her plugged in again. And let's try this again, and we should be good. Okay, give me a second, friends. Okay. All right. Let's get this puppy going. All right. All right. There we go, friends. I'm just testing in VIA. And we are fully tested, folks. So everything works. So this board is absolutely flawless. And it looks awesome. That is really cool. So we'll do a little bit of a sound test. And then we'll get on out of here. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Yeah. This is actually really quite pleasant to use, if I'm going to be completely honest. Yeah, this is awesome. So, I think it looks really good. Spacebar came out great. So, this is awesome. I'm going to take some showcase pictures of this tonight. And then off stream to my client, again, I'm going to put some 3M double-sided adhesive to get your adhesive feet to get on there. I don't want to bore people with 3M double-sided tape on stream tonight, but we'll get that fixed in. I don't know why those adhesives are just coming off, but yeah, here you go, folks. So this is Dynacap on a Sho60 V3, folks. So that is an awesome, awesome build. So VOD will have up on YouTube later this evening. But again, everyone who popped in, whether you were here for the whole stream or you're here for a few seconds or a few minutes, thank you so much. And yeah, this has been a really